What's going on, everybody? It's Avi here, and this video is going to be definitely one of the most important videos I have ever made. I've made a handful of videos, but this video I wanted to talk about all about my honest, truthful feedback about what it was like doing the Hoffman process. For those of you who don't know, the Hoffman process is basically a week-long intensive where I went to Petaluma, California, no phone, no communication with the outside world for a full 7 days, and they take you through an incredible journey of self discovery and learning how to really feel happy with yourself, love yourself. And I actually heard about it. My mom had told me about it years ago, and I didn't take it too seriously when she told me about it first. But then I listened to a Tim Ferriss podcast with Blake Mycoskie, who's one of the founders of Tom's Shoes. And that podcast just struck a chord with me because Blake is this incredible entrepreneur, a guy who looks like he had it all, a guy who looked like, life was set for him. He was working on an incredibly impactful business, making a lot of money, had a family, and he talked about how in his experience he felt very empty even with all this external success. And when I listened to that podcast, I think it was like a week later, I went back and reached out to my mom and I was like, hey, I want to do the process. So I signed up. It was booked out months in advance, and I ended up canceling it 3 times. But I ended up going in the first week of December, December 4th through December 10th, and it changed my life. And I just wanted to share what I learned, some takeaways, without revealing what the process is, but just to give you a better understanding if you've had thoughts about doing some type of life-changing work. Because I had in my notes right here, it was asking in the pre-interview quote, you have to fill out a bunch of work before you even go to the process, just talking about, where you're at mentally and what things you're struggling with. And this sentence kind of really summed up the reason why I went to the Hoffman process. It says, sometimes I feel like I'm a failure and I'm not good enough. I want to be grateful for everything I have accomplished, but I struggle to feel proud of myself. And this was something I really learned, especially in the process. It's something I've struggled with my whole life, and it's what they call a pattern, and it's like a shame message that comes from being a kid and growing up, and it comes from our parents, and it wasn't really who I authentically am, but it's just really how I felt. I always strive to get great grades in high school so I could get into a great college, so I could then get a job and make money and portray success. And I kind of was doing those things. I got good grades in high school. I got into my dream school at UCSB, and I was striving to get a great job. And I became a realtor, an entrepreneur, and I started to have some serious success. But I was still always never feeling good enough as I was. I was striving for more. I thought, if I sell more homes, if I acquire more rental properties, if I help a lot more people, then eventually I'll become enough. And at Hoffman, they described one like really simple sentence that really struck a chord and really brought this home for me. That in our society, they teach us that we have to do so we can have, and then we can be. So do is like grinding, hustling, working, pounding the pavement, door knocking, cold calling. You do all the activities, you hit the gym. So then you can have, a lot of money, a nice house, a fit body, a great spouse. And then after you have all that stuff, you can finally be happy. So do, have, be is kind of what I thought was the secret to success and happiness my whole life. And I was in the do phase and the having phase, even starting to, have major success on paper, but the B phase was not there for me at all. I wasn't truly satisfied, and the only satisfaction I really would get was when other people would compliment me, or I'd kind of get the external validation, which then would wear off pretty quick. And what I learned at Hoffman is you can be first. You can, be loving to yourself, be compassionate with yourself. And it's not something that happens overnight, but it's practices and tools that they give you to be first. So then you can do what you want and have what you want. Because when you live with a place of be, now, starting about to be 2022 and a new year of my real estate, career and new goals, instead of now setting goals to try to prove things and compete with all the other realtors that are always competing on numbers and goals, I can just do my business because I really love it. And I honestly do love my business. And it's going to be a very difficult and weird transition for me because I've always strived out of a place where it's like I have something to prove. I kind of like to have the chip on my shoulder mentality, going back and just be like, I'm the hardest worker. I'm going to outwork people and I'm going to prove myself someday. But what the problem was is like I thought someday was right around the corner, and looking back on it, if I wouldn't have learned these practices or had this mindset shift, someday could have been my whole life. And there's people that you might look at and you think they must have it all, because on paper they seem so happy and they have whatever it is that maybe you want. But I got to meet a lot of people in my Hoffman group. There was 29 of us total, and some people were extremely successful on paper, and they sometimes struggled with these same feelings. And some people weren't so successful, and it was really beautiful that it was 29 of us, all different age ranges and backgrounds, from my age all the way up to 75, people that were there like more on scholarship to people that were super successful. And we all had like an incredible transformation. And it's a process it's hard to explain because you're with a group and you do some work in the big group and some work in the smaller group, and then you do a lot of work on your own, but it's like everyone's going through it together, but at the same time you're really like on your own journey. The campus that we went to was super beautiful and the dorms were very simple. There's like good food, but don't expect it's not like a 5-star like luxury retreat. You're there doing work, inner work, and just learning these ways of living and ways of being basically from 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. It's a long day. It's a very controlled environment. They have every second, I feel like, of the day planned. Obviously you get breaks and it's not like you don't have any freedom, but like you're in the process basically from when you start Saturday morning to when you leave Friday afternoon. And a beautiful thing about it too is I feel like I've made, incredible friendships from people I might not normally interact with. And we shared so much together. And I really was able to, I feel like you're able to shed all of the stuff you've been carrying around. For me, really walking out of the process, it felt like I now had the freedom of not having to carry around this huge backpack of resentment, of anger, of negative feelings towards my parents, my sibling, my brother, and just people that had hurt me in the past, because I had never learned about self forgiveness. I had heard about self love, but I never really thought it was something that was, for people like me, people that were grinders and not people who were inspired to achieve great things. It sounded to me like it was kind of weak to just, forgive yourself when you made a mistake, because I felt like mistakes were something that you learn from and something that you bounce back stronger. And I had the mentality of like 1% better every day, which now I look at that and I look at it differently, because when you come from a place of self-love, when you come from a place of you're good enough as you are, you also want to push yourself and see, I'm capable of incredible things. Let's see what I can accomplish. But for me, when I was saying those things, it was because I really didn't feel good enough as I am. And it's hard to hear that because, it hurt and it hurt deep down. But I honestly thought back then I was on the path towards where I needed to be. But at the end of the day, that path did take me to the Hoffman process, which then I feel so grateful for, because it's not like it just, I'm perfect overnight and now I have all the best inner dialogue and self love concepts in my mind, but I have the tools every day which they teach you, which can help you when you stray off and you start being really mean to yourself. You have what they call like dark side attacks, when your mind is telling you you'll never be good enough, you're a bad XYZ, you're not worthy of love. It helps you shift back and get back to the place of being like, I'm good enough just as I am. I'm worthy of a great life and worthy of love from the people that I care about. I'm worthy to set boundaries and, make sure that I'm not going to let other people hurt me. That's a huge one that I thought, as a realtor, you pick up the phone no matter when it rings. Like the idea of having a boundary for my clients, was like unheard of. But it was because I just felt like there had to be something out there for me that I could grab and get and achieve, when deep down it was like right here. A lot of people go to Hoffman when they're working on grief and working on, relationships. And it gives you an incredible set of tools to work on with that as well. There was stuff that I was grieving and stuff that I was holding on to that I really learned, and I'm practicing still letting go of it, and all starting from a place of like forgiving myself, and starting not with like I need an apology from them or I can't let that go because they hurt me, but it starts with like forgiving yourself. And the compassion aspect too has been incredible since I've gotten back. I used to like compare myself a lot to other people, whether I was at the gym or whether I was looking at other realtors in our business who are selling a lot more houses than me and making a lot more money than me. I would like to compare and kind of, have, in your head, you're like, I'm better than them, or I'm as good as them, or I can do what they can do. But now it's like, when you come out of compassion, you can kind of look at someone, whether they're like top dog in their industry or whether they're struggling and below you. They're going through their own battles, and everyone has got their challenges that they're dealing with, and it feels really good to just be able to be like, this person might not be my best friend, maybe they didn't treat me super well, but I can be compassionate. I know that they're probably struggling with a lot in their life too, just like I struggle. And you can like hold space and just like let them be. So it's hard for me to really synthesize down like the main one or two or three takeaways that I had in Hoffman, but if I had to, I would just say that I've been able to now understand that I can love myself as I am without any other exterior motives, and that I can understand who I am besides just being a realtor, besides just being like my physical form, besides being my name, Avi. Like there's something more to me that I'm realizing, even if that stuff all got taken away, like I could still understand who I am. And before the Hoffman, I feel like I was really defined by my exterior like identity, and that just was a tough way to define myself, because when I didn't live up to that, um, I had really mean things to say about myself in my own head. And when you're always trying to put on some kind of, I wanted everyone to think I was like the biggest hustler and the biggest motivator. And then when you're not feeling motivated and you don't feel like hustling, you feel like something's wrong with you because you feel like that's who you are. So I still want to be able to hustle, and I have a different place where I'm coming out, and I still want to motivate a lot of people and help as many people possible. That's like why I'm making this video. But at the end of the day, like I know that now deep down I'm a lot more than just a realtor and a hustler and who I am. So it's like I'm rediscovering that. And on top of like rediscovering something I always struggled with, one of the patterns that I got from my parents and stuff like that was like I would shut down in times of heavy emotion, not be able to cry unless it was like something really traumatic, and like I believe that if you could suffocate the kind of weakness emotions like depression, sadness, fear, like it would just go away. And I would, I'd struggle with migraines in high school and a lot of like crazy dreams, and like they would, and injuries sometimes would come up, and I feel like the suppression of emotions, like you don't realize it, but it's going to come out in some other way. And that was a huge takeaway I had at Hoffman as well. Being a man and an athlete, like there's certain emotions you kind of learn not to show. And I was able to rediscover my range of emotions. And since the process, I've been able to have some incredible highs. So I can feel joy like I never have been able to feel. I feel like I can dance like nobody's watching, and I don't have as much of a need to like drink before socializing. But on top of that, I feel the lows now, which is like when I feel sad, when I feel lonely, I feel it, and it hurts now, because before I have ways of numbing it out, suppressing it. I feel like for me, one of my big numbings, I would go on social media a lot. I'd always try to stay connected so I wouldn't have to feel like ever alone or lonely. But now I'm letting myself feel it and trying to give myself compassion during those times and like let it move through me. But it's really hard at the same time, where those are things I'm not used to like actually feeling. But that's the flip side. It's like without feeling those saddening emotions, you don't have that spectrum. Everything kind of gets numbed down, and I felt like I was really living at like a numbed down. Nothing felt that great, nothing felt that bad, but I was just kind of going about my day to day. I talk about in the process a lot, like we have patterns which we take on as kids from our parents, just things that we learn innately before we can really think and act on our own. And so many of us, and me especially included, like these patterns turn into just ways that you live, and you just start to live on autopilot a lot. And there was decisions I was making, not because I wanted to make them, but just because I thought that was the way to do it, and I just thought that was who I am. And I guess one of my main takeaways from Hoffman as well is through that you can really understand what is the pattern and what is your authentic decision, so that you can make more authentic decisions and be like, who the inside, like they call it the spirit, like what does the spiritual me really want to do in this situation? Who do I really want to express myself as, and what decision do I really want to make, regardless of what my parents have taught me or what the past has taught me, or if I'm rebelling, like it lets you be authentic. And that's been really freeing as well, and also really scary to be like, what decisions and what lifestyle choices have I made that aren't really me, and how can I change those now? I'm 26 and I'm used to a certain way of living. I was used to certain routines, so that I've kind of been like trying to figure out what is going on. And I guess we're almost a month out for me and my class, and it still is really hard. I feel like I'm having like an identity crisis, but like in a kind of a good way, where I can now understand, start to learn who my like the real me is and my real identity. And a lot of stuff is going to stay the same, and a lot of stuff is going to change. But the reason I really wanted to come on and make this video is that I think the Hoffman could work wonders on really anyone. There's no one that's like, oh, this wouldn't work on me, or I've been through too much. And I'm really excited because this year I'm going to be donating $1,000 to a scholarship fund for the Hoffman for every $1 million in real estate that I sell. And it's a really fun and fulfilling goal, where all these past years I've had markers of sales volumes that I want to hit. And this year it's like I want to obviously sell homes and help people, but at the same time I want that money to go back into something that I'm passionate about. And the Hoffman I'm really passionate about because it changed my life, and it changed a lot of my classmates' lives, and I'm seeing it impact their day to day. And I don't want to be the guy to be like, you have to go do this, like you need this. But if you're curious about it, say watch some their YouTube videos that talk more about it, or you can reach out to me, and I'll give you some insight on it. But I just want to let you know, if you're watching this and you feel like you're not good enough and you're not lovable, and the stuff that happened to you from childhood you can never let go of, or the people that have hurt you in the past can never be forgiven. I would say I thought those same things too, and now I don't anymore think those things. I think that there is always time to forgive yourself and forgive the people that have hurt you, and there's always time to let go and step into your new ways of being. I mean, I saw people do it that were in their 70s at the process. So, I think there's really no too early or too late to do the self work, and whether that means doing the process or doing something else. Like, my whole point in this video is just to let you know that I too once felt like I wasn't ever going to be good enough and wasn't ever going to be happy. And I think that it's out there for us, but it's not out there. It's like right in here. I don't know. It's kind of cheesy saying it like that, but I just want to be authentic and share this with you guys. I know a lot of people have been asking me questions about it, and I just want to help as many people as I can. So here's to an incredible 2022. I'm really stoked to, come at my business from a new angle and take adventures and take time off and take time to dance and laugh and cry and everything in between, and just be authentic and help as many people as I can find their authentic self too, because we all struggle, and you're not alone if you're struggling and watching this. And at the end of the day, the happiness can start from square one right here, and I hope you can find it. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, love to be part of the journey. Till next time, guys, make it a great day. See ya.